It is day 3 of student protests at Howard University. They've been camped out at the school's Blackburn Center, and they say they will stay there until all 3 of their demands are met. Better housing for incoming freshmen, an in-person town hall meeting with Howard University's president, and the reinstatement of students, faculty, and alumni as voting members of the school's board of trustees.
Humane living conditions. We demand for us to be respected. We cannot be embarrassed anymore. This action would be nothing without the actual student body. So we made an all call, and the bison came. So we will continue to shut down Blackburn until all 3 of our demands are met.
And you just heard from Najahe Sherman. She's the founder of the movement, which has been coordinating the campus protest. Joining me now is Ashleigh Fields. She's the editor-in-chief of the Howard University student newspaper, the Hilltop. Thank you for being with us here on BNC Live.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to represent the nation's oldest and largest newspaper, the Hilltop, collegiate newspaper.
So I understand that students finally had a meeting with the president and administration officials. The VP of Student Affairs released a statement saying they remain open to dialogue. So was anything resolved, and were students satisfied with what they heard?
Right. There was a meeting yesterday with the president, the executive vice president, and the vice president of student affairs, in which Najahe Sherman, the founder of the Live movement, was able to share her concerns. There were 3 demands. All of them could not be met, but the last one, which was a request for a meeting with student leaders and the university's administration to discuss the stability of housing for future years to come, was met, and the president did agree to open up for bi-weekly meetings with members of the Howard University Student Association, the Hilltop, and other student members. So a few of the issues were resolved, but the Live movement is still in deliberation on final demands.
Well, it sounds like there was some progress, as you mentioned, a step forward. So that's good. There is a silver lining there. But tell us about the concerns that students are most angry about, and talk about how and why frustrations with the administration got to this boiling point.
Right. We've definitely been interviewing a lot of students on campus, and many of them say that their largest issue is housing. Students that have housing have said that they found mold inside of the dorms, mildew, and then there's another issue, which is that students are not receiving housing. So after their freshman and sophomore years, they are not in the category of priority for the university to house. So they are on the streets, or they are looking to find housing in DC, which can be quite expensive, and that's a concern for many, in addition to the fact that there is a lot of strict rules on campus that can kind of prevent students from moving how they would like to. So that's one of the main concerns. So students have been sleeping outside and inside of the Blackburn University Center to try and make these demands and get the administration to listen to their concerns.
Is there, tell me, a reporting process before we got to this boiling point where students who are in those situations could sort of go through a channel of communication?
Yes, so students were referred to the Director of Residence Life, Shelton Higgins, on campus to voice their concerns and to receive some sort of mediation on behalf of the university, but many students say that their emails were lost or not responded to, which has caused them to escalate it to this level. One of the demands of the Live movement is a meeting in person to do a town hall with President Frederick, to which he has declined the request to multiple times in lieu of the fact that he's seen these situations escalate to a level which he considers unreasonable. So students are still working to try and get a meeting with President Frederick where everyone is able to come and voice their concerns and get the answers that they want or need.
And when you talk about this escalating, is there any concern that punitive action might be taken against students who maybe violate the code of conduct during sit-ins or any of these protests?
Well, a few days ago, Dr. Evers sent out an email letting students know that they would face consequences based on the student code of conduct. While there, she spoke about possibly expelling students who did not leave the building by 12 o'clock. But as of right now, no students have faced consequences, or there have been no deliberations about what the results or outcome of those student protesters will be.
Howard is considered one of the most high-profile HBCUs. It's also ranked among the wealthiest black colleges. So why are these issues?
So while students at Howard do come from an affluent background, there are other students here who face different circumstances. International students and students who are here on the Pell Grant, which requires students to pay back their loans. And so in addition to paying for tuition and paying for their textbooks, they are also being required to pay for housing out of pocket, which in DC you're not going to find for below $1,000. And so, all of these financial demands sort of build, and they've sort of prevented students from maintaining the status of student at the university. So one of the leaders of the movement, Erica England, spoke about taking some time off after being unable to afford tuition and after facing sexual assault on campus, which really prevented her from her matriculation here, and was also heavily influencing the retention rate.
Wow, different circumstances for students, certainly. Is there any indication that things will move forward?
I cannot speak on behalf of the university or the Live movement, but after the meeting yesterday, there were demands that were met and agreements that came from it. So I do believe that both parties said that was positive, and they are eager to move forward in finding the best path of peace for the university.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us here on BNC Live.